Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another fabulous episode of
Focus
Focus
at
at
40.
40. My name is Genesis Etienne. I am half of the dynamic duo. I am a licensed mental health counselor, a marriage and family therapist, a sociologist, a podcaster, a mom, and a person who is in a lot of flux right now, right? I put all of these titles behind my name, and I feel like those titles are kind of changing often, right?
Mhm.
Um, so while I am all of these things, I know that those extras will grow as my career develops, and hopefully I'll have a lot more letters as life develops. But introduce yourself, my beautiful.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kathy Goodall, and I am a coach, trainer, a marketer, a leadership and growth coach. I'm also a podcaster, a YouTuber. And I'm kind of excited about this conversation that we're having today because I feel like it's something that we are both experiencing and living through. And a lot of people have had challenges with transitions in their professional life. And so, including us. And so we kind of just wanted to have a conversation about that today.
So the reason why I think that this was really important was because over the last few years, I love mental health, I love wellness, but I've always, and it's so funny because I always say this, I've always known that I'm not a lifer in any job, right? I get bored quickly. I need a challenge. I need to help people build stuff, and then I need to go. But the problem with that is that I'm also, a sucker for stability and security and for these other values. So those two things are kind of constantly fighting me lately because I feel like I've gotten a little bit bored, you
Mhm.
know? And so I'm trying to figure out ways to supplement my income, do my purpose, right? Because I think that our job is so linked to what we should be doing. And I think that when you're not doing the things that you should be doing, purpose, that it tugs at you. And so I know that while mental health and wellness and therapy and all of that, those are great, great strengths of mine. And I think I'm really good at it. I know that there is more for me. And sometimes I'm just not sure what that looks like. You know what I mean? I know that you have gone through numerous times in your life when you've done new things and you've tried new jobs and I feel like your skill sets though while you've gotten new jobs and new things they've all kind of like gone with you, right? You haven't had to necessarily like acquire a whole brand new skill set to do the new jobs that you do. How
Yeah.
has that been for you? Like, is it hard? Is that
Honestly, it's interesting because I've never actually applied for a job before. And so I feel like God has kind of just guided me and orchestrated my path. I mean, I started out in entertainment, and the skills that I learned from working at this entertainment company, Pulse, which is a model agency and entertainment company in Jamaica, from doing agency model management to production of events and managing models as well as so those skill sets help me to translate into artist management, artist bookings, event production, logistics. Um, and then I worked at a law firm while I was in school. And that gave me a much better understanding of how to read and manage contracts and what does that look like, what to look for. So that's added value to what I already knew in the entertainment space. And then I went to retail and I just kind of merged all of my worlds. So I took the entertainment and I took the retail that I was in and I created a merchandising division for that retail company. So it's
nice?
like I took the lessons that I got all along the way and applied it to what I was currently experiencing. And then when I moved to corporate in a marketing position, um, all of those things help to equip me to execute as a marketer, which I'd never had any formal training in. I mean, when I was at school, my degree's in sociology and I wanted to do my master's in social work. Fortunately for me, my mother disabused me of that notion because she knows that I was not ready to I will take home people's
Suffer,
children.
suffer.
Well, it's that I would take home people's children because boundaries is not something
Yes,
I understood at that time.
yes.
And what I did realize, though, you talked about living in purpose. I did realize that by working in corporate and doing something that I was good at gave me the earning power to be able to do things that I wanted to do, that I know helped me to walk in purpose. So yes, my job is not where I got the purpose and the fulfillment, but that job equipped me to be able to walk in my purpose, which
Absolutely.
was to
Yeah.
do mentorship and to help to develop other people. So even though my career kind of happened, it equipped me to do the things that I was most passionate about. In COVID 2020, I left corporate because I was just over it. I'm not, I don't play politics well.
Right.
And
I've been
and
I've been
so
trying to convince her to run for politics in Jamaica forever, and she's just like not going to do it.
yeah, no,
But continue.
I don't play politics well. And so I was just over corporate. I was over the BS. And so I decided to start my own consultancy. And I have been having that tug of war for quite some time now, for the past, I would say 2 years, on whether I want to do what pays me or do what gives me fulfillment and hope that eventually it will translate into compensation. So I'm right there with
Right.
you.
I don't know. I think that, I would like to think, and they say, do what you love and the money will follow. No.
So yeah,
It's
but you have to also be practical, right? Because something is gonna have to give. So it's either we're going to be prepared to sacrifice, and the reality is that you're a mom, you have kids, and you have a household to run and to maintain. So there's that side of things that you need to be thinking about. For me, I am also newly married, and I don't want to be dead weight. I don't want to be dependent on my husband because that's not who I am, and it's not who I have been for the past 40 years. And
correct.
so it's hard. It's hard to decide. What I have decided though is that now I get to choose the clients that I want to work with, and I don't just take projects for the sake of they're paying me. If I don't want to do it, I'm not taking it, because the
Right.
truth is I'm gonna half-ass it, and that's not who I am.
Right.
You
Well, it
know.
could also be though that I feel like maybe your values have changed. I feel like, 10 years ago or 5 years ago, even right before you got married, you were working, 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 working. That's always been a really big value of yours. It's always been a very important value that solidified yourself in your career. Um, and so to be able to kind of now decide, I'm not going to take this on, or I would rather do this with my time, or I would rather do this, there has to be a freedom that comes with it. But is there worry at all? Like, I mean, how do you feel?
Absolutely. There's worry constantly. I think in the beginning, when I just stepped out and decided, okay, I'm going to do this consulting thing full time, it was like, okay, but I don't have a steady paycheck that you talked about. I'm used to having money in the bank, not worrying about anything, being able to pay for anything that I want, do
Right.
anything that I want, have my savings, have my investments, and have play money without thinking twice about it. And for 2 years, I was living off a savings. So yeah, absolutely. I am worried. I was worried. I am
Very.
worried, you know?
It is scary. It is scary. I'm curious about, do you think that your values have changed?
Um, I don't think that they have changed. I just think that because I have the time and the flexibility now to do more of what I want, I get to focus on that more. I don't have to, you know, commit to going to an office every day. I don't have to commit X amount of hours to a particular job every day. And so I get to manage my time better. So I think that I get to use my time in a way that I choose to now, more than a time that I have to, than allocate my time in a way that I had to before when I was working for somebody.
Of course. I think that our 40s is such a time of so much change in our careers, right? I know that there are so many people who became business owners just in the last few years. And everybody's either turning 40, or they just, they're in this area now, they're in this space now. And it's really changed. I think COVID changed a lot about how we do work, how we
Yeah.
think about work, and our values, right? I think that during COVID, people were able to kind of sit back, you know, re-strategize how they were going to pay for things, start looking at other skill sets, looking at talents, right? Looking at things that they were really liked, but didn't necessarily do for work. So I had two girlfriends who started companies in fashion during that because they had the time to sit there and sew, right? And I think that it's helped for them to also kind of diversify how they were going to work and how they were going to but I know that it's not as easy as we're making it to be, right?
Not easy at all.
Um, when we have responsibilities, children, mortgages, husbands, pensions, things like that, right? Things that we carry with us through our lives, things that are attached to us. I know that it's not as easy as it's actually a really
And I
hard
think it's
decision to
kind of
decide. I want to
ridiculous because
go
during
ahead.
COVID, a lot of entrepreneurs came about, right? Because people got laid off, people started businesses, and it became the cool thing to be an entrepreneur and to start a business. But then reality kicked in, the real world came back, everywhere opened up, and the reality is that the captive audience that you had during COVID, you no longer have. Things
Right.
have skyrocketed in prices because of inflation. And so yeah, you started a business, but you also have to think about what's in the best interest of you and your family, right? So it's not that you're giving up your business, but maybe you might need to go back to having a 9 to 5 or a part-time job that's going to help to offset the cost of what you're not bringing in anymore while you develop your business. There is no shame in that. There is no shame in saying, I'm putting my business on hold because I need to rebuild. I need to get some capital investment to recover from some of the overwhelm that I felt financially during COVID. I think it's great that we celebrate entrepreneurs, but I also think that, we have people around us that we have to be able to differentiate between them being supportive of us as an entrepreneur, but also them being supportive of us as individuals. So it's not that we're just frivolously giving up our business. You have to be able to assess what are your needs at this moment, right?
Correct.
And so being able to understand where you are and what is in your best interest, whether it is continuing to fight for your job, fight for your business and to grow it, because you know that maybe it's going to take 2 years for me to recover, and in these 2 years I can manage if I just cut this out and cut that out. Or do I need to step back a little bit, go and look for a job in whatever field that is, or maybe even consult in the area of expertise that you have. But I think, this pressure of feeling like I'm a failure, or I haven't been able to succeed in this area. Sometimes we just need to pause and realize that maybe, we need to take a break in this season and focus in a different area in order for that other thing to be able to get some life and to grow. Because
I agree with you.
financial stress
I
is over
think
stress.
no, absolutely. And not only that, though, I think that the other part of that is that there is a pressure. There is a social media pressure. There we live in boss, in boss,
Yeah.
in boss bitch
Boss,
mode.
babe, girl,
Everybody is
boss.
supposed
Everything is boss.
everything is about boss. And you know what? I get peace. I get peace from being done with work at 5 o'clock and being done, you know. And when I've had my own businesses in the past or whenever, you're not done, right? You're not done. And instead of just doing the work that you're doing the work that you're doing, but you're also a business owner, you know. I had a conversation with my doctor the other day, because she was like, I'm so stressed out. I'm so stressed out. She started
Practice.
her own practice. And she's like, up until now, I was just seeing clients and being a really great doctor. But now, I have to be a great doctor, but I also have to be a business owner. And I also have to manage people. And I also have to do HR. There are all of these other things that she may or
And
may
you have
not
to
have
pay
been.
people.
I have to pay people and I have to make money to pay people, right? Which means I have to market and do and be available on weekends for shows and this and that. There is a lot that goes into it. So I really do beg people, before you decide that this is what you want, or that you're done with this industry, or that you're done with this career, really think about the skills that you have, think about the support that you have, think about what else, right? What hobbies, what kind of things would you love to do with your life? Because I mean, we have these jobs, and listen, I'm all for a paycheck but I'm also all for creativity, right? And for being your best self. I don't know that we're all supposed to walk in our purpose. I think some of us have that calling and others don't, and that's okay, you know. Um, but if you feel like you're not doing something with your life that you should be, I know that mine is an aching feeling. Mine is an aching feeling. It gnaws at me, you know. And I know again that I'm supposed to be doing therapy. I know that. But I know that that's not the only thing I'm supposed to be doing. And trying to figure out what that other thing is, it can become a daunting task, you know. Um, So the other thing that I wanted to include is that if you are struggling with figuring out what's next for you, to talk to a career counselor,
Mhm.
right? Career counselors can give you all of these assessments. It's so funny. When I was 18 years old at Barry, my first semester, I, per usual, had not declared my major because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Right? Not no surprise there. So I took this huge, like a 300 questionnaire and like my intro class, like intro to college class or whatever. And after sitting there for 6 hours and doing all of these 300 questions, and it's mailed off, and you get it back 2 months later, the number one thing that it said that I should do was to be a pastor. And I was like, what? I remember being 18 years old being like, a pastor? No, I'm never gonna be a pastor.
Especially at that time.
Especially at 18 years old, you know. And it really asked some very deep questions that I just answered, right? Not even superficially, I just answered them. But it was interesting how they were able to gather who you are based on these questions, right? And thinking to myself, no, that's like, this is a ridiculous test. I'm never going to be a pastor. Well, 25 years later, um, I'm not that far from that, right? I do counsel. I'm incredibly spiritual. I want to help people to know and learn God as well. I want to bring more spirituality into counseling. So I know that that's part of the other thing, but it's also about taking the jump and going after that thing, And I'll be honest, and this is like a really candid moment. I'm really funny about jumping. I don't like to jump without a safety net and a harness, and I need somebody to hold my hand. I'm really not that great at just going for it, without thinking about it a lot.
Yeah.
So
And I'm the
thank
opposite.
you,
I
because
just
you're
do
always awesome. Whenever I feel like I need a push or somebody to jump with, you're like, yeah, let's just jump.
it. Yeah. And I think it's also important to do an assessment, whether it's a personality test or going to a career coach. I mean, I am certified to do DISC assessments, and I do it for corporate all the time. But one of the things that it helps you to understand is having the right skill set is one thing, but having the right personality within that skill set also matters. And there are transferable skills that you might be able to use in a different setting that is more suited to your personality. And so I agree that if you are at a crossroads in your life and you're trying to decide what's next, I would advise you to go to a career counselor or go to a coach that can help you to figure that out. Because we all get to places where we are at a crossroads, and sometimes it just takes somebody to help you process everything that's going on from an objective perspective, to give you the clarity that you need to figure out what your next steps are.
Correct. Correct. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna meet with one to just, I don't know, reassess myself. I love so much what I do, but I know that there's so much more here. And it's really about, kind of zoning into that and going after whatever that thing looks like. But it's a matter of confidence, and it's a matter of values, right? Making sure that the things that I go after. The other part I feel like I want to say when you said something about skill set is that, and personality, I think what has put me in this position is that I've been doing marketing for like a few months now. And guys, my God, I am convinced that I am not a salesperson. I'm not a salesperson. And that when you're doing a job that is not for you, when you are doing a job that is not your purpose, that is not your calling, that really does tap into what you're good at, oh my God, it can become miserable. Um, and so I want to hone extra skills and things like that, but I also know who I am and what I'm not good at and what I am good at, you know? So I'm trying to kind of put myself out of a certain box, but at the same time, I know what I'm good at and what I like to do and what I don't. And I don't want to do things that I don't want to do, period. I never have.
Yeah. So guys,
Sorry.
we are encouraging you to figure out what is best for you. Don't let society and social media and people around you that are not walking in your shoes and that are not living your life tell you which direction you should be going in, whether you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to go back into the world of work because you want that steady paycheck. There is no shame in that.
No,
You can still be a boss and work for somebody, right?
definitely.
And
I
still own
agree.
your space and work for somebody and collect your guaranteed paycheck and be happy and sleep well at night without having to worry about all the rest of it. Or you can be so passionate about something that you know that this is what you want and that you're going to fight for your business. Surround yourself with the right people. Maybe, and we'll talk about this in the next episode. Maybe you need to look at who you're surrounding yourself with and how you're connecting with the right people to create that network that you need to develop and grow your business.
Definitely. I'm excited about our next episode. Um, I think it all relates, right? Who you are, what you want to do, who you have around you, how you get out of your comfort zone, how you manifest the things that you want. These are all conversations that we've been having on Focused on 40, and we're grateful that everybody is continuing to watch because we are doing this together, guys. We're doing life together. So please, continue to reach out. Let us know what you'd like to hear us talk on, and if you guys are going through any types of issues, if you're going through any types of crossroads, if you're at a crossroads about where what you should be doing, if you've had a long career and now you want something else, if you're bored, if you're burnt out, if you need to make more money, if your life changed, you got married or you got divorced, these are all things that absolutely impact how we work, right? And it's incredible because we don't think about it that much, but we spend a lot of our time, the majority of our time working, so we want to make sure that what we're doing is purposeful and good and makes us feel good about ourselves and helps us to put food on our tables. So, just be mindful that it's not always going to be exactly what you want it to be, but it can be, right? As long as you, again, make sure that your skills, your personality, and your support are all where they should be.
And let's be real, right? If you know that you need to be making X amount of money to live the lifestyle that you want, then you have to know how you're gonna get it, right? And be real with yourself. So we look forward to your feedback. Share your stories with us. We can't wait to hear them, and we will see you again next week.